What's up, guys? Swift here, covering everything Chicago Bears with daily videos, updates, and in-depth analysis. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button now. What are you waiting for? Let's hit that like button too. Let's get right into it. Today I'm focusing on the offensive line, and I will be giving out grades for each player based on all 22 film work of the Bears versus the Patriots. Our offensive line played much better against New England. It was supposed to be the game without Sam Mustafer, but the ironic thing is Mustafer came off the bench and actually had a great game. I've called out Musty more than anyone on this team this year, but against the New England Patriots, he was simply one of our better linemen. He is always solid versus the run, and that continued, but per PFF, he graded out as our best pass blocker as well. There was a clip on Twitter going around of a play where he kind of looks lost. Other than that one play, there wasn't much in this game where I could even nitpick about with Sam. It was simply his best game of the season. He was not a liability. So you won't hear any Mustafer bashing in this one. I have to give the dude his props. He was benched before this game, and then on the second drive of the game, Patrick goes down with an injury. Mustafer comes in mid-drive, helps us cap off the touchdown. He then finished the game out and played very well. I don't know if this game changed my opinions on him as a player. I still prefer him as a backup rather than a starter, but if he continues playing like he did last week, I will give him credit where credit is due. Good game, Sam. Next, I want to kind of talk about Braxton Jones, our rookie 5th-round pick, who has stepped in at the most important position on the offensive line and started from day one. Braxton Jones' play is going underrated. He's not a Pro Bowler or anything, but he is playing like one of the steals of this draft as a rookie left tackle on a young team, making the jump in competition from FCS to the NFL cannot be understated. Coming from Utah State, he needs a full offseason in an NFL weight room, and I expect Braxton to take a big step next year. The Chicago Bears facilities and weight room are just light years ahead of what they offer at Utah State. Don't give up on this dude. He could be special. That said, while working on videos this week, I did find an awesome stat on Braxton Jones' game versus the Patriots. He had an awesome performance and was actually graded out as the best left tackle in the entire league this week per some advanced metrics. Boom. Stop writing him off. He has elite athletic traits and can be a really good left tackle in this league. Too many people judge players strictly on where they were drafted. To those people, I have to say, stop sleeping on Braxton. He isn't just a guy who can be okay as a rookie tackle. He's a guy who has the traits, talent, and work ethic to be a great left tackle in the NFL. His technique has improved tremendously in the last 5 to 6 months. Pair that with an off-season bulking up in the Bears' strength and conditioning program, and Braxton is a guy I see myself excited about at left tackle. He's not quite there yet, though. He is playing great football, and Monday night was by far the best game of his young career. I think he was arguably our best lineman in that game, and he took some big steps forward, especially against the bull rush. Until he gets stronger, he has to be nearly flawless in his technique, and he is improving and getting better every single week. I'm really excited about Braxton's future. Next up, I want to talk a bit about Tevin Jenkins, who was just punishing people on Monday Night Football. If you followed this channel long, you already know that Tev is my favorite lineman on the Bears and the guy I think has the most upside. Tev is a mauler, and he plays with a physical demeanor that I love to watch. He stood out on film again, and I showed off a few of his pancakes during my All-22 breakdown of the offense. If I had to say who our best lineman was that night, for me it's kind of a toss-up between Tev and Braxton. Both had great games, and I'll give out my grades at the end of this video. Tev has found a home at right guard, though. I believe he's been our most consistent lineman this year, and he has Pro Bowl potential. Tev dominates in the run game and is a big help to both Sam Mustafer and Larry Borum in pass protection as well. He's handled the move from tackle inside to guard like a true pro and is becoming our best offensive lineman. I love watching him on tape every week. Next up, I want to talk about our new left guard, Michael Scofield. He's a solid veteran who I thought would help the line after watching Patrick and Musty get bullied against the Commanders. This proved to be true against New England. Scofield was solid throughout the game. He didn't really stand out, but he was much better than Patrick had been at left guard and helped stabilize our pass protection. He was pretty good against the pass, and he looked okay against the run. He clearly isn't as good of a run blocker as Sam Mustafer or Lucas Patrick, and he's definitely a better pass blocker, but he never looked like a liability to me. I saw him lose his footing a few times and get beat a couple times. It was his first action this season, and I think Scofield played well. He was shaking off some rust, but he should remain at left guard until Cody Whitehair returns. The last offensive lineman I want to talk about is right tackle Larry Borum. He was, in my opinion, our worst lineman on Monday Night Football. He wasn't as good as he normally is in the run game, and he struggled in pass protection. PFF agrees with me on this one as well, grading him out as by far our worst pass blocker and worst run blocker on the night. I don't tend to rely on PFF for most things, especially QB play, but I do use their offensive line grades for research purposes. It doesn't always line up with what I see. For instance, I graded Tev's pass blocking out much higher than they did. I don't know if they don't give Tev points for all the help he provided Musty and Borum or what, but the bottom line is that Larry Borum struggled on Monday night. He has been up and down this season. His footwork and technique looks improved from last year, and he looks lighter and quicker on his feet. For the most part, he's been okay in pass protection and solid to very good in run blocking. Borum's biggest problem has been inconsistency, and that showed up Monday night as he had possibly his worst game of the season. He won't have a chance for a quick bounce back either, as he suffered a concussion in this one and is out versus the Cowboys. It is unknown when he suffered the concussion or if it affected his play, but it is worth noting. Okay, and then lastly, before I get into my final grades, I want to discuss Lucas Patrick for just a moment. He spent the majority of his time here injured, and fans seem to have come to the conclusion that he's injury prone and a bust. I want to make a point on this because nothing about his injuries suggests he's injury prone or has anything worrisome when it comes to injuries to me. It's not a knee injury. He has had two weird, random injuries. He broke his thumb and now his toe. He was healthy for years in Green Bay and just seems to have hit a period of bad luck. That being said, Lucas isn't a long-term answer anyway. He's a tough, solid veteran who works hard and fits what Poles and Eberflus want from guys in this locker room. Most analysts don't ever consider that when talking about the guys we brought in via free agency, Patrick wasn't brought in to be our center of the future. He was brought in to hopefully stabilize the position for a year, maybe two, and bring toughness, a blue-collar work ethic, and knowledge of Luke Getsy to the Chicago Bears. He didn't cost much money, and I still expect Patrick to help us over the next year and a half. Okay, now let's get into the grades for the offensive line. I'm going to use the same grading scale that you guys saw from my NFL draft pick grading. It's a 10-point scale that I developed when I was younger with a family friend who was a scout for the San Diego Padres for 30 plus years. I am strictly grading this one game though. Bears vs. Patriots on Monday Night Football. I tried to leave any bias out. I didn't want to affect my grading. I will give you the grades from worst to best. Coming in at number 5, and the guy I graded as our worst lineman on Monday night, was Larry Borum. He faced another great pass rusher in Matthew Judon, who has 8.5 sacks on the season already after getting 2.5 against Chicago. Borum played well in spurts, but not only struggled in pass pro, he just wasn't that great in the run game either. He definitely has looked better in the run game this year, but overall, I give him a 6.1 out of 10. For those more familiar with letter grades, that's pretty much a D-. Borum struggled and will be out tomorrow. Riley Reef will get his first chance in the starting lineup. Coming in at number 4 is Michael Scofield, who was making his first start of the year. He admittedly had to shake off a little bit of rust and lost his footing a few times, but overall he had a solid outing and helped stabilize our left guard spot. I would give Scofield a 7.4 out of 10. He played solid. Our top 3 linemen all stood out, and I wouldn't argue with ranking any of the 3 as our best linemen of the night. All 3 were solid in pass protection and very good in the run game as well. All 3 guys had possibly their best games of the season. When deciding the final rank, since all 3 players were solid, it came down to the wow plays for me, where the guy stood out. Number 3, I ranked Sam Mustafer. I wouldn't argue if you ranked him as our best lineman in the game. He came off the bench and played very well. I just didn't see as many wow plays like I did with Braxton Jones and Tevin Jenkins. I gave Mustafer an 8.0 out of 10. Number 2 is Tevin Jenkins. It was tough. All 3 guys had great games. Tev probably had the most wow plays, but he also made a couple small mistakes in pass protection. I gave Tevin an 8.3 out of 10. Number 1, and the guy I graded out as our best lineman versus the Patriots, was Braxton Jones. His technique versus the bull rush looked better. He was our best run blocker, and his athleticism and power really stood out when he gets to the second level. Picking between Braxton and Tevin was splitting hairs, but I gave Braxton an 8.4 out of 10. Great game by the rookie 5th-round pick out of Utah State. All in all, it was by far the best performance by our offensive line all season. This was without Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick for most of the game. Tomorrow we go against the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons without 3 of our 5 starting linemen heading into the year. Whitehair and Patrick are on the IR, and Larry Borum is missing the game with a concussion. You guys know I'm a glass half full type of guy though, so I have to point out we get our 4 best linemen from Monday night's game back, and Larry Borum, the guy missing the game, was by far our worst lineman that night. Also, Riley Reef, the guy replacing him, is a 10-year veteran and former first-round pick. He is a solid player who could potentially stabilize our line even more against Dallas. It's what I loved about having these 2 veterans on the bench, Michael Scofield and Riley Reef. They are guys who can step in and potentially even make the line play better. I did all 22 breakdowns on the offense and defense for this game. Both videos took a ton of work and are over 30 minutes long. Be sure to check those out if you missed them. I also have my Bears-Cowboys game preview coming with a lot of insights for this week's game. Stay tuned for that. Be sure to hit that like button for me. And until next time, bear down.